Do you think this is politically possible, viable? Like, it would just be so great if Trump goes over to Moscow and talks to Putin and it's like, hey man, what are we doing? Like, why we don't need to be enemies? Like, just the world would be such a great place if we have
Yeah.
Russia, China, and the US that can all work together and we can have a peaceful and prosperous world where we can, I mean, like, there's no reason to try to have this clash
Right.
between these superpowers. And we're the one that are demanding it, but we're in the worst position to handle any type of conflict if war broke out with China or Russia. So it's just like
Yeah.
there's and I think probably Trump has to have some realization of that, and he has the personality that just wants to be chummy with everybody. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just hoping that is that possible? You just go over to them and be like, hey, let's
I can't say it's impossible.
let's bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
Let's work together. We
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
you got all that energy, great. Well, we got all this. Let's start trading and working together, and then all of a sudden.
Right.
Let's be pals again. Is it possible that we can be pals with Russia and China? I mean, like that would
It's
just be
not
so good for the
obviously
world.
it's not impossible, but but yeah, well, it remains to be seen, and maybe before he appointed people that undermined him, at every turn. One example, of course, was the negotiations with Kim Jong Un in North Korea. That he went, I think very correctly um, offered to meet with them and to negotiate. But he had appointed people like John Bolton, and John Bolton undermined him. He sabotaged those negotiations. He surrounded himself with people who were not loyal to him, who did not believe in, um, who were neocons, who did not share his vision. Now, unfortunately, he's appointed many neocons and many people, many warmongers. Um, but I think there's a difference. He has appointed people that he believes are personally loyal to him.
Right.
Even though they may subscribe to a neocon ideology, and clearly many of them do, including Marco Rubio. Um, he believes that these people, unlike John Bolton, for example, or, or Mike Pence or Nikki Haley, are personally loyal to him. And so perhaps, if he can bend them to his will, even if they don't really share his ideas. For them, they're political creatures, and they understand that they've hitched their wagon to this Trump horse, and that's the way they're going to go. I think that's what we may see. So it may be that, for example, if he really does want to negotiate a settlement, a settlement that has to be favorable to Russia, um, perhaps he has enough hold over these people, these people that he's appointed to the State Department and the Pentagon, that he can carry through with it. But it remains to see. I mean, these are huge organizations full of wily operators that have had their way for decades. Now, maybe it's finally coming to an end. This is the thing. You get so used to something being one way, you just think it's forever. But perhaps, um, perhaps they will finally lose. I certainly hope so. Again, I'm not going to bet on it. I'm going to bet that they're going to win, but um, eh, this is a new Trump. He seems to be more determined, and he seems to be wiser than he was last time, and he seems to have made appointments that um, that he feels will strengthen his hand vis-a-vis the deep state.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. I promise to only take 1 minute of your time. If you're using AI, please consider checking out my website, novlisky.io. Right now, we're in the middle of this AI arms race. Nobody knows what's the best AI to use. Yesterday was OpenAI, and everybody's talking about DeepSeek. This is great for us as consumers of AI, but what's not so great is having to jump from platform to platform. You don't want to have to sign up for a monthly subscription on OpenAI and then move over to Anthropic and then move over to DeepSeek. So what we built here at Novlisky is an AI hub. It allows you to access hundreds of AI models. We update them as soon as a new model comes out. It is integrated into our system, and you can use them all under one platform. And another thing that's so great about this website is that you can easily use multiple models at the same time to compare which is best for whatever use case. So, for example, I'm going to use Anthropic and GPT-4 at the same time. So I get side-by-side results. I use this in my work every single day. I think you'll find it incredibly useful. There's tons of customizations. We have an iOS and Android native app as well. So you have seamless synchronization across all devices. So please check it out. I think it's something you'll find incredibly useful. There are no subscription fees, no rate limits. I guarantee you it's going to save you money, and it's just going to keep you on top of all AI releases.
Right.
It's actually, I think, a smart move to hire neocons and that are more loyal to you than they are to the neocon ideology. Same thing we saw, for example, sending Steve Witkoff, which is he's a practicing Jew. I'm not sure if we describe him as a Zionist, but he sent him over to handle the negotiations with Netanyahu.
Yeah. No, he's definitely a Zionist. Yeah, and a rather extreme Zionist.
Right, but he doesn't just obey Netanyahu. His loyalty is to Trump, and Trump told him to do this, and he did it. And so you have somebody that is a Zionist, that is a Jew, and that gives him the ability to even reach any type of deal already. And the same thing potentially if you have neocons that are more loyal to you. It's like, well, okay, you subscribe to this ideology, you have sway within this deep state a bit more, but you listen to me, and so we're going to change this machine. You got to work from with the inside of it. Maybe that's what he's thinking. Yeah. I hope so.
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Again, I'm more pessimistic about the Middle East because I think Trump himself, unfortunately, has shown himself not to have a real interest in a just peace in the Middle East. Sometimes, he'll say something will come out of the side of his mouth. That's encouraging. But all in all, everything that he's, with the exception of this one negotiated ceasefire, and according to Netanyahu, it was done with the understanding that the Israelis could break it and would be supported by Trump. With that exception, everything has actually been towards increasing support for the Zionists. This is, again, there were very, very few restrictions that Biden placed on Israel, but those very minor restrictions were lifted almost immediately by Trump, and that again, it's a bad sign. I mean, he does talk sometimes like an ultra nationalist. Again, talking about just ethnically cleansing all of Gaza. Of course,
that's not possible, right? It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, he's really not so different from the prior administration because Blinken he didn't go out and say it openly the way Trump does. This is often the difference. Trump says something publicly which other previous administrations would say behind closed doors, but they really are on the same page. Now, Blinken actually was trying to convince the Jordanians and the Egyptians to take in the Gazans. So he was really talking about the same plan. It's just that Trump said it out loud.